They say it only takes a moment to change a lifetime, not a year, not a decade, but a single breath, a single choice, or even one careless word. And this is the story of a man named Daniel who discovered just how true that was. A story of love, regret, and the long road back to himself. Daniel grew up in a quiet American town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knew each other and life seemed predictable. He wasn't rich, but he wasn't poor either. His family lived in a small white house with a porch swing that creaked every time the wind blew. As a boy, he would sit on that porch, watching his father fix cars in the driveway and his mother tending to her garden. There was a sense of safety in his world, a rhythm that felt unshakable. But life, as it always does, had its way of testing him. Daniel wasn't a perfect student, but he was bright. He loved drawing, sketching cars, buildings, people. His notebooks were always filled with doodles instead of math equations. Teachers would shake their heads, telling him he wasn't focused enough, that he needed to get serious about life. He tried. He really did. But something about the way the world worked didn't quite fit him. He felt like he was meant for something more creative, more alive. By the time he graduated high school, he had no clear direction. His friends went to college. Some joined the military. Others found jobs. Daniel drifted. He worked at a local hardware store, stacking boxes, sweeping floors, helping customers find screws and nails. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Still, there was a quiet ache in him, a sense that he was wasting time, that his life was waiting for someone to spark it into motion. And then he met Emily. Emily was unlike anyone he had ever known. She had this laughter that filled a room, this way of making even ordinary moments feel extraordinary. They met at a coffee shop downtown. He had spilled his drink. She had helped him clean it up, and somehow, that messy, embarrassing moment turned into a conversation that lasted hours. Within weeks, they were inseparable. Emily believed in him in a way no one ever had. She loved his sketches, his ideas, his restless energy. She told him, "You're not meant to live small, Daniel. You're meant for something bigger." Those words lit a fire in him. For the first time, he felt seen, truly seen. He started sketching again, spending nights drawing designs for buildings, cars, even entire cities. He dreamed of studying architecture, of leaving his little town and building something lasting. And with Emily by his side, it didn't seem impossible. She was his anchor, his inspiration, his everything. But here's the thing about love. It isn't just about the beautiful moments, it's about the fragile ones too. And sometimes, it's in those fragile moments that the wrong words slip out. One evening, after a long day at work, Daniel came home frustrated. His boss had criticized him, customers had been rude, and he felt like a failure compared to his friends who were moving forward in life. Emily was waiting for him, cheerful as always, excited to show him a small surprise, an art set she had bought to encourage his drawing. But Daniel wasn't in the mood. He snapped. He said words he would regret for the rest of his life. "You don't understand me, Emily. Stop pretending like you do. You're wasting your time on me. I'll never be what you think I am." The words fell out like daggers. Emily's face changed. Her smile faded. The sparkle in her eyes dimmed. She stood there, holding the gift she had bought with love, and in that moment, something between them cracked. He didn't mean it. He knew he didn't, but words once spoken cannot be unsaid. They hang in the air, they echo in the heart, they carve scars that no apology can fully heal. Emily quietly placed the art set on the table, whispered, "Maybe you're right," and walked away. That night was the turning point. For days, she didn't answer his calls. For weeks, she kept her distance. And then one morning, he found a letter in his mailbox. It was short, written in her neat handwriting. "I love you, Daniel. But sometimes love isn't enough when words cut deeper than silence. Take care of yourself." She was gone. Just like that, the one person who believed in him more than anyone else had walked out of his life. Daniel's world collapsed. He tried to apologize, tried to explain, but it was too late. Emily had moved on. For years, he carried the weight of that night. One wrong word, one careless outburst. That was all it took to change his destiny. Instead of chasing his dreams, he drowned in regret. He stopped drawing. He stopped hoping. He let bitterness take root, telling himself he wasn't worthy of love or success. His life became a routine of empty days, wasted potential, and silent nights replaying the memory of her leaving. But life has a way of offering second chances even when we don't believe we deserve them. 10 years later, Daniel was in his mid-30s, working as a janitor at a community college. It wasn't where he thought he'd end up, but it kept him going. One evening, while cleaning an empty classroom, he found a stack of sketchbooks left behind by an architecture student. Curiosity got the better of him, and he flipped through the pages. The drawings were raw but full of passion. They reminded him of himself, the boy who once believed in dreams. That night, something inside him stirred. For the first time in years, he picked up a pencil. His hands shook. The lines weren't perfect, but as he drew, he felt alive again. Weeks turned into months, and soon, Daniel was sketching every day. He saved money to take night classes. Slowly, painfully, he rebuilt the pieces of himself he had lost. It wasn't easy. He was older than the other students, felt out of place, awkward, even embarrassed at times. But he kept going. And in that persistence, he discovered something profound. It wasn't too late. One wrong word may have broken him, but it didn't have to define him. Years later, Daniel became a respected architect. He designed buildings that stood tall in cities, places where people lived, laughed, and loved. Every blueprint he signed, every structure he built, was a silent apology to the past, a way of saying, "I'm more than my mistakes." And though Emily was no longer by his side, her belief in him lingered. He often thought back to that art set she had given him, the one he had rejected. He kept it unopened as a reminder of the night that nearly destroyed him and the lesson that eventually saved him. Because here's the truth: words can destroy, but they can also rebuild. Daniel learned through years of pain and healing that one wrong word doesn't have to be the end of your story. Yes, it can change your destiny. Yes, it can cause scars. But destiny is not a single moment. Destiny is built in the choices we make after the fall. It is built in whether we let regret define us or whether we rise, bruised but unbroken, to write a new chapter. So, if you've ever spoken words you regret, if you've ever lost someone or something because of your mistakes, remember this: you are not trapped in that moment forever. You can still rebuild. You can still begin again. Life will not always give you back what you lost. Some doors, once closed, remain closed. But that doesn't mean there isn't another path waiting. That doesn't mean your story is over. Daniel's destiny was changed by one wrong word, but it was saved by his decision to rise again. And maybe that's the lesson for you today. Be careful with your words, because they carry the power to shape lives. But also, forgive yourself when you fail, because no mistake, no wrong word, no broken moment has the final say in your story, lest you let it. So, speak gently. Live intentionally. And if you've fallen, rise again. Because your destiny is not written in the mistakes you've made, but in the choices you make today.